Hi, I'm Chris Jorstedt with thebestarizonahome.com, and I'm here today with Mr. Greg Siderakis from Pinnacle Lending, and we're going to talk about how to improve your credit. Greg?
Hi, Chris. How's it going?
Great, man. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Doing great. Anyway, so Greg, we run into situations where, and we've talked about this on a pre-qualification, where there's things that may affect the your loan, what kind of loan you can get, and how good your interest rate is, right?
Right.
And so your credit score, which is let's start with that. What is a credit score? What score? What does it come from?
Yeah, so a credit score is something that you build up over your life. From the first time you open a credit card, get an auto loan, or get any other loan in general. It's something that you build up, and really you build it up for this specific reason to get a good interest rate on your mortgage or get a good interest rate on your auto loan, that sort of thing. We really want to be building our credit throughout our lifetime, and there are different ways to build it. We've spoken a little bit about how to build that, but I can go into depth about that.
Well, not just how to build it. And so I'm assuming you take out, loans or like you said, a credit card or whatever. So that starts the process of building your credit score. So let's say, how does that even look? So I open a credit card, or I get a credit card. All of a sudden I get a credit score of 10,000?
Gotcha.
What is it? How's it look?
Yeah. So really you develop that credit off of making timely payments on your credit cards and loans. So really, number one, if you are wanting to build your credit, repair your credit, anything like that, make sure you're making timely payments on everything. If it's due on the first, pay it on the first or before the first. And just because you have a credit card that has, an available balance of $3,000, it doesn't mean you should use all 3,000 of that. Keeping your credit card balances low and making sure that you're making those timely payments is super important in building your credit.
So so let me touch base on that. When we're building our credit, what's ideally sort of a good credit score, for example?
So that kind of depends on, what loan we're going for. Generally, I would consider a good credit score anything 720 and above. There are different loans that work with, down to 500, 580, 620 is kind of the base layer of where we start looking at mortgages. Sometimes people come in below that, and that's where we work together on how do we get our credit up into the point to where we can qualify for a mortgage and or get a better interest rate on our mortgage.
Okay. So what kind of things can I do to build my credit? What can I do to make it better? If I've missed a payment in the past or something like that. I know there's a lot of different stories out there of what really has affected credit and what has caused a problem in the past and stuff like that.
Right.
But how do I get from I got a credit score of 5, how do I get that up to 800?
Yeah, credit is a very complex thing, which is why there's not one answer to build your credit up to 800. But like I was saying before, one way of getting it up to that point is making sure your usages on your credit card stays relatively low. You make those timely payments and you pay it off, and you increase the amount of open credit that you have. So let's say you have that $3,000 credit card, you've had it for about a year. You're ready to have some more open available credit. Opening another credit card, even if you're not going to be using it a ton, might be a good option because the amount of credit that you have open increases from 3,000 now to maybe 10,000.
Okay. So are you willing, let's say I want to do that. I want to go down the path of increasing my credit because I've done my pre-qual. You said, hey, listen, you're doing good, but your credit score needs to be just a little bit higher to qualify for some type of loan that's going to give me a better interest rate. Can you kind of walk people through that process and tell them, hey, this is what you need to do, such and such? Or do they need to go to I know there's groups out there that do credit repair and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So when I pull your credit from your specific credit bureaus, I have what is called a what if simulator. So with every liability or every debt that you have, let's say, you owe $1,000 on your $2,000 credit card. I can run my what if simulator and put in, if we pay off $500 of this credit card, what would it bump our score up to? Let's say we're at a 610, right? And we're needing to get to a 620.
Or 5.
If we're at a 5 looking for a 800, it might take a little work. But if we're at like the 610 going to a 620, I can put it in that what if simulator. If we pay this off, it'll bump us up 15 points. So we can rescore at a 625, and all of a sudden you qualify.
And you'll kind of find a way. You'll help them or help us identify ways to go from 610 to 625.
Exactly. I do all of that on my end, and I will work with you directly to figure out exactly what we can do to help you get into a home.
That's very helpful. Now, one thing you said, which I'm curious about, you said your credit bureau. So is there more than one credit bureau per se, or how's that work?
Yes. So when we pull a mortgage credit report, we actually pull from 3 separate bureaus. And the number that we use for your credit score is the middle score of those 3. So, let's say our middle score is a 610 and your high score is a 645. We want to get that 610 score above the 620 because that's the one that we're basing our numbers off of. Mm-hmm. So which credit bureau we're increasing the score on really does matter. And I make sure that I take care of that diligently.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, if you have any questions, obviously you're available. We can I always recommend reaching out to Greg first and talking a little bit about what your situation is, what your financial goals are, and then he can kind of find out where you're at and help you along. So if that's all right, I always pass along your information and say, Absolutely. Hey, just call Greg. So awesome. Well, thanks, Greg.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely.
Thanks.